Midsummer's Night Dream Part 1. Learning Objectives 1. Shakespeare portrays romantic love as the blind, irrational, often beautiful force that can be both cruel and forgiving. 2. Understanding the writing technique of Shakespeare. Warm up. Look at the words in the title of the play separately and brainstorm what each word suggests to you. William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1616, was an English poet, playwright, and actor who is widely regarded as the greatest writer in the English language and the world's preeminent dramatist. He is often called England's national poet and the Bard of Avon. His works, including collaborations, consist of approximately 38 plays, 154 sonnets, 2 long narrative poems, and a few other verses. His plays have been translated into every major language and are performed more often than those of any other playwright. 445 BC, Athens, a famous port city in an ancient times, had a cruel law in existence. This law permitted fathers to force their daughters to marry men chosen by them. If the daughter refused to obey her father on his choice of her husband, the father was allowed to have his daughter put to death for disobedience. However, this law was in existence only in this particular city of Athens. But fathers are loving dads. Normally, they do not want to put their daughters to death, and so this law was ignored and used perhaps only to threaten the young ladies of dire consequences and bring them into submission to their wishes. Characters in the play: Oberon, King of Fairies; Titania, Queen of Fairies; Hugus, an old man living in Athens; the Zeus, Duke of Athens; Hermia, daughter of Hugus; Demetrius, a young man of a noble Athenian family; Helena, Hermia's friend; Lysander, young Athenian; Puck, Oberon's helper and chief favorite fairy; Bottom, Pea Blossom; Cobweb, Weaver; Moth and Mustard, Seed, Fairies. Scene 1. Hugus: Sir, I want the law to be brought into force against my beautiful daughter Hermia, who refuses to bow to my wishes because she is in love with Lysander, a young Athenian. She has therefore refused to marry Demetrius, a young man of a noble Athenian family. Hermia: Helena, my good friend, loves Demetrius to distraction. How can I marry my best friend's love? The Zeus: Young lady, I have no power to change this ancient cruel law, but I can give you 4 days to consider your father's will for the betterment of your future. If you should at the end of 4 days still refuse to obey your old father, then you will have to be put to death, much against my desire to see you destroy your own beautiful self by your own decision to refuse to obey your father. Scene 2. Quickly, Hermia made haste to meet Lysander, her lover. Hermia: Oh Lysander, because of this cruel law being invoked against me by my father, I have to give you up and marry Demetrius. If I want to live, what shall I do? Oh, my love, my life, how can I escape this cruel law and continue to live with you, the one I love? Lysander: Hermia, my beautiful love, do not distress yourself so much. See, I have an aunt living in this city, which is some 10 miles distant from here. If we go to that city, we can get married over there instead of here. So, in the dead of the night, when your father is fast asleep, you creep out of your house quietly and meet me in the woods outside this place where we once met your friend Helena in the morning in May, and together we will travel to my aunt's home and get married there. There you will be safe from your father and his cruel desire to have you put to death for disobeying him. Okay? Hermia. Yes, I will certainly meet you in the lovely woods at midnight, tonight. Whispering to Lysander. Lysander and Hermia parted ways. Helena, passing that way, met Hermia. Hermia. Helena, Lysander, I have decided to leave Athens, the city, with this cruel law and marry. So, goodbye, my friend. Helena, who was jealous in her heart about Hermia, decided to betray her friend. Goodbye, dear. Take care. She went and told Demetrius about the plan, knowing well that Demetrius would chase after Hermia. Scene 3. It was a midsummer night. The woods where Lysander and Hermia planned to meet was the favorite place of those little creatures with wings called fairies. Oberon, the king, and Titania, the queen of the fairies, along with their entourage, held their midnight dances and parties in these woods. The fairy king and queen were at loggerheads at this juncture. They could not meet in peace in the moonlight nor walk in the shade of the pleasant woods before a quarrel would ensue, and then the argument would become so heated till all the fairies in the wood would get into an uproar over the issue between the king and queen. The reason for this unhappy state of affairs was a result that Titania the queen refused to give Oberon the king a little changeling boy whose mother had been Titania's dear friend. Upon her death, the fairy queen stole the child from its nurse and brought him up in the woods. Now that same eventful night that Lysander and Hermia planned to meet in the woods, Titania was walking along with some of her maids of honor when she suddenly came across Oberon the king, who was attended by his train of fairy courtiers. Oberon, how unfortunate for me to meet you in the moonlight. Oh, proud Titania, quickly said. Titania, what? Is that you, covetous Oberon? Come, fairies, let us skip away from here, as I have promised myself to have nothing to do with him. Oberon, nay, stay. O fairy queen, do not be so rash as to run away. Am I not your lord? Why does Titania make her Oberon angry? Come now, give me your little changeling boy to be my page, and we will forget the quarrel. Titania, set your heart at rest, my lord, for you cannot buy this boy from me, even at the cost of your whole fairy kingdom. Oberon, oh, go your way, O queen, for before the morning dawns, I will punish you for this. Oberon then sent for his helper and chief favorite fairy nicknamed Puck. Actually, his real name was Robin Goodfellow. He was both a clever and mischievous sprite, all playing tricks in the neighboring villages, sometimes getting into the dairies and skimming the cream from the milk, sometimes hiding in the butter churn so that the dairy maid would work without any success to change her cream into butter. Neither were the young men able to escape Puck's trick in the brewing vat, which he caused the ale to get spoiled. Even when a few neighbors met for a sociable drink, Puck would jump into a tankard of ale in the likeness of a masted crab apple, and just as some old woman was taking a sip, he would bob against her lips and spill the ale over her withered chin, causing laughter among the onlookers. Another trick that he would play was to disguise himself as a three-legged stool just behind an old woman who was about to sit down and narrate her sad story to the neighbors, and just when she would bend to sit down, he would slip from under her, and she would topple down in a funny way, causing the others to laugh so much that they would be holding their sides laughing all the while, saying they really did spend a merry hour of laughter. Such were the mischievous antics played by Puck the elf. Oberon, come here, Puck, and fetch me the flower which girls call love in idleness. Now, the potion drawn when you squeeze the juice of that little purple flower on the eyelids of someone who is asleep would make the person fall in love with whomever the person sees on waking up. I will drop some of that juice on the eyelids of my Titania while she sleeps, and when she opens her eyes, she will fall in love with whatever she sees, even though it is a lion or a bear, a meddling monkey or a busy ape. This way, I will make fun of her till she agrees to give me the boy to be my page, and then only I will remove the charm from her sight with another spell that I know. Puck, who loved mischief, was thrilled with this plan and ran to look for the flower. While Oberon was waiting for him to return, he noticed Demetrius and Helena enter the woods. He overheard the unkind things that Demetrius was saying to Helena. Demetrius, stop following me and leave me alone. Helena, remember how you swore love to me first and how faithful you were to me. Why have you changed like this? You know that Hermia does not love you, but another, so let her go and return to me, for I love you truly. But Demetrius would not listen to her cries. He just left her and began walking away from her fast. Demetrius, I leave you, Helena, to the mercy of the wild beast. This made Helena all the more to run after him to keep pace with his fast walk for fear of the wild animals. The fairy king, who in his heart loved true lovers, felt very sorry for Helena. So, when Puck returned with the little purple flower, Oberon to Puck, take a part of this flower and squeeze the love juice on the eyes of the man who is rejecting the love of a sweet Athenian lady, so that when he wakes up and she is near him, he will see her first and begin to love her. Puck promised to manage this matter skillfully. Quietly, Oberon slipped into Titania's bower whilst she was preparing to sleep. Titania, some of you fairies must kill cankers in the musk rosebuds, and some wage war with the bats for their leather wings to make my small elves' coats, and some of you keep watch so that the noisy owl that hoots every night does not come near me. Now let me hear some soft music to put me to sleep. So the fairies got together and began to sing a lullaby. The queen fell asleep hearing the lovely melodious voices of her fairies singing this pretty lullaby. Quietly they all left her to get on with the important task she had assigned them. When all was silent and quiet, Oberon stealthily approached Titania and dropped some of the love juice on her eyelids, saying, Oberon, what thou seest when thou dost wake, do it for thy true love's sake. Find meaning, existence, alive. Invoked, to use a law in order to achieve something. Distress, extreme anxiety, sorrow or pain. Covetous, greedy. Beast, animals. Ancient, very old. Mischievous, playfully provocative. Assigned, allotted. Entourage, followers. Onlookers, spectators. Loggerheads, to be in an argument. Squeeze, compress. Stealthily, secretly. Exercises, creative expression. Tell your story. A. Do you think Hugus is justified in being angry with his daughter? Why or why not? B. How did you feel when you read Helena's decision to tell Demetrius about Hermia and Lysander's plan? Why did you feel this way? Cross-curricular connect, learning by doing. We read about Hermia in this play. She plays an important role. Based on your understanding, write the character sketch of Hermia in 150 to 200 words. Exercise time. Answer the following questions. Number 1. Why was Hugus angry with his daughter? Answer. Hugues is upset because his daughter Hermia has challenged his authority. When Hugues approaches the Zeus, he has just learned that Hermia rejected his preferred suitor, Demetrius. Presumably, Hugues refers Demetrius for reasons related to wealth and status. 2. What did Hermia and Lysander decide to do? Answer: Lysander and Hermia decide to run away together through the woods so that Hermia doesn't have to marry Demetrius. 3. Why were King Oberon and Queen Titania at loggerheads? Answer: Oberon and Titania are fighting with each other because Titania possesses a changeling human boy who she feels compelled to raise out of respect and love of her good friend, who is the mother of the child and is also dead. Oberon wants the changeling boy so that he could use the boy as his henchman. 4. What did King Oberon ask Puck to do? Answer: Before hurrying away to anoint Titania's eyelids with the flower's juice, Oberon orders Puck to look for an Athenian young being pursued by a lady and to put some of the juice on the disdainful youth's eyelids so that when he wakes up, he will fall in love with the lady. Find their meaning. 1. Rash, impetuous. 2. Sprite, an elf or fairy. 3. Quarrel, fight. 4. Lullaby, a soothing refrain. Fill in the blanks. 1. The woods where Lysander and Hermia planned to meet. 2. The third act of Shakespeare's A Midsummer Night's Dream creates jealousy. And 3. Oberon tells the audience he plans to use the flower and drop the juice of it in her eyes. Take the right options. 1. To whom did Hermia refuse to marry? 1. Lysander. 2. Demetrius. 3. Oberon. Answer: 2. Demetrius. 2. To whom did Helena love? 1. Demetrius. 2. Lysander. 3. Oberon. Answer: 1. Demetrius. 3. Who was Titania? 1. Empress of Greece. 2. Queen of Fairies. 3. Princess of Romania. Answer: 2. Queen of Fairies. 4. Helena was jealous in her heart about 1. Lysander. 2. Demetrius. 3. Hermia. Answer: 3. Hermia. Match the following. Column A, column B. 1. The Zeus, Duke of Athens. 2. Demetrius, young man of Athenian family. 3. Hermia, daughter of Hugues. 4. Puck, chief fairy. 5. Oberon, king of fairies. 6. Titania, queen of fairies. Conceptual understanding. Tell your story. Write whether the following sentences are true or false. 1. The cruel law was in existence only in Athens. True. 2. Hermia loved Lysander, a young Athenian. True. 3. The king and queen of the fairies held their midnight dances inward. True. 4. Lysander and Hermia planned to meet in the woods. True. Communication. Writing skills. You have lost your way in the forest where Puck lives. He plays a prank on you, but you are rescued by King Oberon and Queen Titania. Write an interesting episode of 100 words. Reading skills. Read the following telephonic conversation between two friends. Your friend is going to Delhi flight. This is the first time he is boarding a plane. He wants your help. Explain how he is going to do about it. Make pairs and enact the conversation. Friend, I am going to Delhi. You, did you get confirmed tickets? Friend, no, I am going by flight. I have never been to the airport or traveled by air before this. You, I will much tell you. Friend, how much luggage can I carry? You, do it yourself. Listening and speaking skills. The teacher will give directions to different places on the school campus. Children must carefully do the instruction and share the name of the places. For example, Go out of the door, turn to your right and walk to the end of the corridor. Climb the steps to right. Where have you reached? Answer: reception area. Life skills: self-awareness building. Read the pledge on keeping the classroom neat and clean and try to frame your pledge too. Share it with your class teacher. Pledge: we should keep our classroom clean. We should keep the duster on the desk. We should keep our bench clean. We should always throw waste in the dustbin. Chapter 12 A Midsummer's Night Dream Part 2 Learning Objectives 1. The idea that things are not necessarily what they seem to be. 2. A dream is not real even though it seems so at the time we experience it. 3. Understanding the difference between appearances and reality is also explored. Warm up. Write about William Shakespeare. Let's see how well you know about him. Born, nationality, occupation. What was he famous for? Would you have liked to meet him? What would you have talked about? William Shakespeare, 1564 to 1616, often called the English national poet, is widely considered as the greatest dramatist of all time. He is recognized as one of the literature's greatest influences. Though little is known about William Shakespeare's personal life, his works such as Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, and King Lear have influenced literature and theatre for over 400 years. Now, the scene turns to Hermia, who made good her escape that night from her father's house. She met her beloved Lysander waiting for her at the appointed place, and they began to walk in the direction of his aunt's house. They had hardly travelled halfway through the woods when Hermia began to feel tired and exhausted. Lysander: "Come, Hermia, we shall both rest here on the banks of soft moss till morning, for when we have rested well, we will be able to move faster in the morning towards our destination." Saying this, they both fell to the ground and lay down a little apart from each other before falling into deep sleep. Soon Puck, the naughty sprite, came across them. Puck: "Aha! This must be the handsome young man, and this must be the beautiful lady whose love he rejects. Oberon must be referring to this couple. They are alone together, so she must be the first that he would see when he wakes up." Without tarrying much longer, he poured out the juice of little purple flower on Lysander's eyelids. Unfortunately, Lysander felt the juice droplets and woke up suddenly. The first person he saw was Helena, who just happened to come into his view. Puck's assumption that Lysander would see Hermia first when he wakes up was a big blunder indeed. Lysander: "You are more beautiful than Hermia, like a dove that is more beautiful than a raven. I can run through fire for you, my love. My heart beat." And he continued to pursue Helena, expressing his love in extravagant admiration as a love-lost man. Helena, hearing such remarks come from Lysander, whom she knew was her friend's lover and engaged to marry her, was astounded and furious. She thought Lysander was making fun of her. Helena: "Oh, was I born to be mocked and scorned by everyone? Enough is enough, young man. Here I am languishing for a gentle look or even one kind word from Demetrius. But you, sir, why must you pretend to mock me in this manner by pretending to love me? I thought, Lysander, you were kinder than him." Meantime, Hermia suddenly woke up, and seeing herself all alone, she got up and began to wander around in the woods, wondering what happened to Lysander. On the other hand, Demetrius, unable to locate either Hermia or his rival Lysander, was beginning to get tired with his fruitless search and so fell asleep. Oberon found Puck wondering what to do and looking at Demetrius, who was fast asleep. Oberon: "Tell me what happened, Puck." Puck: "Your Majesty, I'm sorry. I made a blunder in applying the love charm to another man's eyes, believing him to be this fellow sleeping here. Now what to do?" Oberon then proceeded to touch Demetrius' eyelids with the love juice. Just as he finished dropping the love potion, Demetrius opened his eyes, and the first person he saw was Helena. And just like Lysander, Demetrius too began to express his love for Helena. Demetrius: "Oh Helena, my love, my sugar pie, my sweetheart, I love you so very much." Helena became speechless. Now she had both men expressing love to her at the same time, as both of them were heavily under the influence of the powerful love potion. Hermia arrived on the scene in search of her Lysander. Poor Helena thought they all ganged up together to make fun of her, but Hermia was as much as surprised as Helena was. She could not fathom why Lysander and Demetrius, who both loved her before, were now in love with her friend Helena. She did not find the matter funny at all. The young ladies who were best of friends once before now turned up each other's accusingly. Hermia, you stole my Lysander's love from me? Helena, unkind Hermia, you are the one who set Lysander to upset me with false praises and expressing love to me. I am indeed surprised at him. You have also turned your other lover Demetrius, who used to kick me with his foot. You are making him call me names such as goddess, nymph, precious, rare, and celestial. He, of his own accord, would never use such loving words to talk to me, because he hates me and makes fun of me all the time. You are unkind, Hermia, to join with these men and poke fun and scorn me to shame. Have you forgotten the good friendship we enjoyed during our school days? How often, Hermia, we sat together on one cushion, both singing the same song, and worked our needles in embroidering the same flower on the same sampler, going up like inseparable twins. How can you, Hermia, be so unfriendly now, so unladylike to join with these men to scorn me, you poor friend? Hermia, I am amazed at your angry words, Helena. I am not mocking you. Instead, you are the one who is mocking me. Helena, oh yes, my dear, keep it up. Pretend to look serious and then make faces at me behind my back. Why, you must even be winking at each other to keep the joke going. If you had any pity, grace, or manners, you would not treat me like this. And so the ladies continued sparing words at each other. Meanwhile, the two young men turned aside to have a good hand to fist fight over Helena. In the bargain, they moved away from the ladies, tumbling like roaring lions, trying to prove whose love was stronger by sheer strength. Suddenly, Helena and Hermia realized that the men had gone away from their side, so they set off once more in search of them and wandered off wearily deeper into the woods. Scene 2. Fairy King Oberon and Puck had witnessed the quarrels and listened intently. Oberon, was all this a mistake, Puck, or did you play your usual tricks? Puck, honestly, O King of Shadows, it was a mistake. Did you not tell me to recognize the man by his Athenian clothes? However, I find these goings on very humorous, and I'm not sorry that this has happened. Oberon, you saw, didn't you? Those two men have started their fight already. I order you to blanket the night with a thick fog and lead these quarrelsome lovers so far apart in the dark that they will never be able to find each other. If need be, mimic their voices to each other to keep them daring each other on and unfollow you. Do this till they are so weary that they just fall asleep. Then you take this other flower and squeeze the juice into Lysander's eyes. When he awakens, he will have forgotten his new love for Helena and return to his old love for Hermia. This way, the two pretty young ladies will each be happy with the man they love, and they will begin to think that all this happened was a bad dream. Go, get going with this quickly, Puck, whilst I go and see what my sweet love Titania has found. Titania was still sleeping nearby. A wearier workman who had lost his way in the wood was also asleep. Oberon, this fellow shall be my Titania's true love. He magically fixed an ass head over the wearer. The fit was excellent, as if it might have grown up his own shoulders. However, the fixing of ass head woke the weaver up, and unconscious of what Oberon had done to him, he wandered towards the bower where the fairy queen slept. Titania, opening her eyes. Oh, what kind of angel do I see? Are you as wise as you are handsome? The juice of the little purple flower was beginning to take effect. Weaver. Why, madam? If I was wise, I would have enough sense to get myself out of these woods where I am lost. Titania. Please don't wish yourself out of the wood, for I am not an ordinary spirit. I love you. See, come with me and I will give you fairies to look after you. Titania called 4 of her fairies, namely Pea Blossom, Cobweb, Moth, and Mustard Seed. Titania to fairies. Look after the sweet gentleman, hop in his walks and skip in his sight. Feed him with grapes and apricots and steal the honey bags from the bees for him. Titania to Weaver. Come, sit with me and let me stroke your lovely hairy cheeks, my darling, and kiss your beautiful long ears. Weaver. Where is Pea Blossom? Pea Blossom. I am here, sir. Bottom. Weaver. Scratch my head. Where is Cobweb? Cobweb. Here, sir. Bottom. Good for you, Cobweb. Now go and bring me the honey bag from the red bumblebee on the top of that thistle over there. Do not make too much trouble, Mr. Cobweb, and take care that the honey bag does not break. I should be sorry if you were drowned in honey. Now, where is Mustard Seed? Mustard Seed. I'm here, sir, at your service. What can I do for you? Bottom. Scratch my head, help. Peace Blossom to scratch my head. I must go to a barber for a shave, Mr. Mustard Seed, for I think I am astonishingly hairy about the face. Queen. My love, my sweet love, what would you like to eat? I have a brave fairy who can find the squirrel's hoard and fetch you some new nuts. Bottom. I would prefer to have a handful of peas. He now began to have an ass appetite with his ass head. But please let none of your people disturb me, for now I would like to sleep. Queen. Sleep then. I will wrap my arms around you. Oh, how I do love you! How I adore you! When Oberon, the fairy king, saw the weaver sleeping in the arms of the queen, he came to her and scolded her with having lavished her love upon an ass. She could not deny it, as the weaver was lying there asleep in her arms, with his ass head crowned with flowers by her. Then Oberon continued to tease his fairy queen for more time. Suddenly, in the midst of his teasing, he asked her to give him the changeling boy, and she did so. Without further 21. Once getting what he wanted, Oberon then took pity on the disgraceful situation and poured some of the juice of the other flower onto Titania's eyelids, and the fairy queen immediately recovered her senses. She was thunderstruck at the sight of Bottom. Titania. I loathe the sight of the strange monster. Oberon then ordered Puck to remove the ass head from Bottom and leave him to finish his nap with own fool's head upon his shoulders. Oberon and Titania became good friends once again. Oberon then narrated the story of the young lovers in the woods, their midnight quarrels, and she agreed to go with him to see the end of their adventures. The fairy king and queen soon found the 4 Athenians asleep on the grass, quite so close to each other. Puck tried to make up for his mistake and worked hard to wake up for his mistake and worked hard to bring them all to the same place without anyone realizing that the others were there. He then carefully removed the charm from Lysander's eyes with the juice of Fairy King had given them. Hermia woke up first. She turned and saw her lost Lysander asleep so near her and kept looking at him, wondering at his strange unfaithfulness. Lysander, upon opening his eyes, saw his dear Hermia and came to his senses, and the memory of all his love for Hermia flooded back. They began talking to each other at once, wondering if these things had really happened or whether they were both dreaming the same bewildering dream. By now, Demetrius and Helena too woke up. The sleep had calmed Helena's anger and she listened to Demetrius with delight. Demetrius, do you know how much I love you, Helena? Helena to Hermia, please forgive me for all the unkind words I said to you. Hermia, you too, Helena, need to forgive me for misunderstanding you and saying horrid things to you. Please forgive me. By this time, Hermia's father Hugus arrived there in search of his runaway daughter. Demetrius to Hugus, Sir, I no longer neither love your daughter nor desire to marry her. Please do not oppose her marriage to Lysander, whom she loves. I love my Helena and desire to marry her only. They all mutually agreed to be married on the fourth day, that fateful day that Hermia was condemned to death. Instead, it would be a day of rejoicing and merriment at a joint wedding celebration of the two friends, Hermia and Helena, to their true loves. Oberon and Titania, the fairy king and queen, who were the invisible spectators of this happy ending, were thoroughly pleased with the part they played in bringing about this happy occasion, that the two decided to join in the celebrations of the wedding and declare that day to be a day of sports and games throughout their fairy kingdom. And now, your reader, if you do not believe in fairies and elves and the pranks they play, just imagine you were asleep and dreaming that all these adventures were just a beautiful movie you saw in Midsummer Night's Dream. Find meaning. Beloved, dearly loved. Destination, journey's end. Extravagant, over generous. Astounded, astonished. Appointed, said of a time or place. Assumption, yes. Admiration, respect. Furious, angry. Exercises, creative expression. Tell your story. Imagine yourself as William Shakespeare and the year is 1576. How would you give a twist to this drama? Cross-curricular connect. Learning by doing. Do some research into Elizabeth theatre design. Then discuss how you would stage each scene of A Midsummer Night's Dream. You might also want to view the 1999 film version of the play or a live theatre production and evaluate their scene production. Do you agree with the choices made? Exercise time. Answer the following questions. 1. What effect did Puck's blunder have on both the couples? Answer. Puck mistakes the Athenian and puts the flower juice on the eyes of the sleeping Lysander. When he is woken by Helena, he immediately falls in love with her and rejects Hermia. When Demetrius rests, Oberon puts magic juice on his eyes, which makes him fall in love with Helena as well. 2. Why did Hermia and Helena quarrel? Answer. Hermia begins to suspect that Helena has somehow acted to steal Lysander's love from her, and she summarizes that because she is short and Helena is tall, Helena must have used her height to lure Lysander. She grows furious with Helena and threatens to scratch out her eyes. 3. Name the 4 fairies of Queen Titania. Answer. Pea blossom, cobweb, moth and mustard seed. Number 4. What prank was played on Titania by King Oberon? Answer. Oberon has Puck spray love juice on Titania. The first thing she sees was him and she falls madly in love with him. 5. Why did Helena upset when Demetrius said he loved her? Answer. Helena was upset since she already knew that Demetrius was into love with her and has always been insulting her. After observing the sudden change in his behavior, made her feel like Demetrius was making fun of her. 6. Of what did Helena accuse Hermia? Answer. She accuses Hermia of participating with Lysander and Demetrius to play a cruel joke on her. She believes the two men are pretending to be in love with her. She thinks that Hermia is going along with the act. Find their meaning. 1. Exhausted, tired. 2. Raven, to seek plunder or prey. 3. Blunder, stupid, mistake. 4. Languish, to be or become feeble, weak or enervated. 5. Fruitless, not successful. Tick the right options. 1. Who made good escape that night from her father's house? 1. Helena. 2. Lysander. 3. Hermia. Answer: Hermia. 2. What did Puck pour out on Lysander's eyelids? 1. Water. 2. Juice of the purple flower. 3. Medicine. Answer: 2. Juice of the purple flower. 3. As per the mutual understanding, who married to whom at last? 1. Hermia to Lysander. 2. Helena to Demetrius. 3. Both of these. Answer: 3. Both of these. 4. Who were the invisible spectators of this happy ending? 1. Oberon the fairy king. 2. Titania the fairy queen. 3. Both of them. Answer: 3. Both of them. Match the following. Column A, column B. 1. Helena. Oh, was I born to be mocked or scorned by everyone? Puck. Your Majesty, I am sorry. Oberon. Tell me what happened, Puck. Lysander. Come, Hermia, we shall both rest here on the bank of soft moss till morning. Hermia. I am not mocking you. Instead, you are the one who is mocking me. Conceptual understanding. Tell your story. Gender issues are significant in this drama. What differences are there in the roles and behaviors appropriate to men and women? Do these gender differences still exist today, or are they examples of outdated stereotypes? Communication. Writing skills. King Oberon was against Queen Titania. Try and change this ending where Queen Titania wins. She does not have to give the channeling boy as a page to the king. You can use the powers of fairies and elves, magic, powder, etc. Listening and speaking skills. Your teacher will read out a paragraph from the play. Listen to him or her carefully. Answer the following questions. 1. They all mutually agreed to be married on 4th day. Whom does they refer to in the above statements? 2. What do you mean by faithful day? 3. Did Helena and Hermia get their true love? 4. Who were the invisible spectators of this happy ending? Life skills. Self-awareness building. Nature is our mother. She is the one who has given life to every creature. We should protect and love her. The easiest way to show her our affection is to treat trees with care. We should grow more and more trees. Try to stop cutting trees wherever possible. We must make people aware of the importance of nature to people as well.